But also I want to speak specifically to Gen X. I was talking to a listener. She's great, Anna. She's part of the Gen X generation, and we were talking about it. She's like, why do you think Gen Xers aren't talked about a lot? And I was like, that's a really good question. Why do you think that? You know, and so we were going back and forth because I do want to expose them, because I know there's Gen Xers watching and listening, and they're like, man, like, what the heck? Like, and something that I thought was really cool is, and this is a plan from the enemy that God as like, because Satan's always going to tell you the opposite of what you are.
Right.
And the Gen Xers have been dubbed by a lot of people the forgotten generation. And that's definitely
I have
Satan,
heard that.
That's definitely Satan's agenda.
Absolutely.
Okay, first of all.
Absolutely.
So the isolation and maybe being overlooked that you feel, first off, acknowledging that's Satan. All right. So get a load of this.
Come on.
We were talking about this, and I was like, you guys, the Gen Xers actually, they first of all they're just as much involved in what God is doing in the millennial generation as
the millennials.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so the thing that I would say is they're obviously closer to the boomer generation because they're the next generation after. All right. And so a lot of them can get along well with the boomer generation, but there's a lot of tension between boomers and millennials, and then even more so with Gen Z, because let's be honest, boomers can write in cursive and Gen Z can't read it, you know, like, and
that's so true.
Yeah. And so, I can still write and read in cursive. Thank you very much. But,
me too. Me too.
Just worth noting. But I was talking to Anna, and I was like, dude, the Gen Z or the Gen X, they're like the ninja generation, because so what what Satan has intended as, you guys are nothing, you're nobody, you're forgotten. You're a blip in the history of generations. God is actually like, I've hidden you for a reason.
Come on.
And there's a covert nature to Gen Xers. If this doesn't excite Gen Xers, like, come on. Like, I thought it was awesome. And when I told her, I was like, dude, you guys are like ninjas. And she was like, dude, whoa, you know.
Come on.
And so
that
like
asking,
so rather than going, we're forgotten, we're ignored, going, God, why has our generation been hidden? There's a purpose behind it that Satan has tried to thwart and frustrate us and make us feel ignored and forgotten. And quite frankly, God does not operate that way. I'm sorry. He doesn't operate. He's not going to be like, you're nobody, sorry. That was a mistake. You know, like, that's not how God operates. And so that's something I've been asking a lot, is like, hold on, why is Gen X? So let that excite you, and really start praying into that, because
I love it.
There's a big revelation there, you guys, and actually a purpose for today. All right. Purpose for totally today.
Feel that. That's so good. So my husband is a Gen Xer. He is 42. I'm 41. So he's like at the bottom of X, and I'm at the top of millennials, kind of like you just said, Zennials.
Yeah.
And that is so powerful. I was thinking about him the whole time you were talking. In fact, he's also had prophetic words about being a secret weapon, like a hidden weapon. And so honestly, I just want to prophesy right now to Gen X. I just prophesy, you are not forgotten. You are seen. You are valued. I also see like this mantle of wisdom over you, and strategies from heaven coming. It's almost like you have been kind of sitting in a back seat, kind of sitting back, almost watching so many different things unfold, even over COVID and since 2020. But I actually see you guys getting ready, and there is going to be a launch of Gen X. Woo! I feel the fire of God all over Gen X.
Yeah.
I feel wisdom. I see power. I see mothers and fathers rising up. Like there is a shift coming to Gen X. I see specifically men rising up in their fatherly anointing, and taking back what the enemy has been trying to steal and rob. And like Jeff said, tell you that you've forgotten. And I see the Lord is saying, I see him and I hear him saying, I have not forgotten you. I have your name written on my hand, and I am here. I am with you. I am for you. And I'm saying, now is your time, Gen X, to run. run after God
Yeah.
and pick up your fatherly mantle, and the women pick up your mothering mantle to father and mother this generation, the Z's
Yes.
and the alphas. It is your time.
Yeah. So for those of you who maybe are like, am I a Gen Xer? It's if you were born between the years 1965 to 1980. And what's kind of cool is if you are born on either, like, maybe you were born closer to 1965, 66, or 1980, 1979, 77, like around that time. What I've noticed is God kind of has like a bridging nature between those generations too. Like, for instance, with Audrey and myself, being born, so we're like on we're some of the older millennials. There is that bridging of like the whole Zennial thing we were talking about. But something else I heard the Lord say is you have weapons in the spirit that the enemy cannot see.
Come
And
on.
I got this
So
image of
good.
like when we see, like you see like an
Yeah.
army, there's an army lying in wait, and they're like hiding under like the grass or something. And then like they wait for the enemy to come, and all of a sudden they just all bust up and then attack.
Yes.
Like that's what God has
That's awesome.
positioned you. And in that waiting time,
Yeah.
like the enemy sat there and whispered in a lot of people's ears and declared, you are forgotten. There's no enemy coming. You are completely forgotten. The Lord has abandoned you. The world has overlooked your generation. And that's just a lie. It's an absolute lie. You have weapons in the spirit that the enemy cannot see. And that's not something that's something unique to your generation. It's, man, that's awesome. And so,
Oof, yeah.
and so I like any of you guys that are in that Gen X generation, start asking the Lord, what are my weapons? Where am I positioned? Help me to see where I'm positioned for this time. So,
yeah,
and it's for the end time harvest, guys. Like, come on.
Absolutely. And what I saw was them, I saw like two different, it's kind of similar really, is the David and Jonathan relationships, and then also Paul and Saul. Or I mean Paul and Timothy, Paul and Timothy. I saw like an anointing, like there's an anointing for Paul's anointing to come over Gen X, specifically the men, to reach out, grab their Timothy and pass on the baton and all that, give away even what you didn't receive. Because also for the exes, you've almost been in this place, like you said, where the enemy has just been hitting you hard and telling you what you didn't get, or you missed it, or you lost it, or you didn't, you were wrongly fathered. That's what I want to say. Some of you were wrongly fathered, but the Lord wants to use that to be a right father and to father the fatherless. And so I just see this release of the heart of the Father over men right now. I mean, that can be any generation, but especially the exes, to rise to the occasion and father the fatherless, and give away what maybe you didn't get, because they need it. This generation needs it. They need fathers. They need fierce, relentless men of God that are, tender hearted, but they're warriors. They're fierce. They're relentless. They're not going to give up. And they need that. They need the strength, strong men, not soft men, but strong men with resolute hearts.
Yeah. Come on.